What's up, Gabe, man? How you doing?
Really good. How you doing today, Eric?
I'm doing great, man. I'm glad we can finally kind of link up and really chat about our experience with Isom. Before we get into like just the nitty gritty, I want people to kind of learn a little bit about kind of where you come from as far as just being a creator in this space. A lot of people aren't really acclimated to the fact that, look, I surrounded myself with professionals, people that have been in the industry for a while. So, you know, I kind of got you in a great spot when you were willing to, you know, work on this project and all that, but just let everybody in on kind of, you know, this is like your first project. You've been around the block.
Yeah, a few times. Yeah, I've been drawing since I was a little boy. I loved to draw since I was 3. It was my first memories in the back of my grandparents' restaurant. Fast forward all the way, I worked for all the mainstream major Hollywood studios. I've worked for them on, you've seen my work out there, guys. It's on everything. And then I moved to independent work. And about a year ago, a friend of mine told me about this other guy named Eric July and said he had some interesting project and he was looking for a special team of, experienced guys. And we talked on the phone and you were my kind of guy. And then when you told me what it was about, you showed me some of the concept art, some of Cliff's illustrations. And I'm almost certain I had worked with Cliff before at one of the other bigger, at the mainstream companies. I'd heard his name at least. I think I worked with him. I'm not sure. I've done so many assignments. But I was in. And I just want to thank you publicly in front of everyone here. Wow, what a success this has been. What an honor to be part of this. I had no idea this was going to do what it did. The fans are just amazing, and you've been great to work with. So, yeah, mainstream for the better part of 20-something years, professional illustrator, and now independent. Like I started when I was in college, an independent artist. So, yeah, I'm very excited to be here. I love it.
And that is the awesome thing about this whole entire project was the fact that I knew that, and I recognized that I needed people that were professionals that had been around the industry. And this is why I say this to the audience all the time about how confident I was in this project. But because we had Cliff, you know, guys that have been doing this for decades, like I knew that if I was off a bit at any point in time, you guys would have told me. You guys would have let me know, like, this ain't it. But you guys were believing kind of in the project. I think all of us didn't see it maybe doing 3.7 million, but right. it was destined for success because of the fact that you guys have been around the block and your input was certainly just very, very vital to it. But yeah, I pitched you Isom and sort of these ideas and kind of what were you thinking when you first got like Cliff's big like illustrations, you know, those first kind of 5 pages where he's really kind of diving into this story? Did you think like, oh man, we're going to absolutely kill that? Kind of what was going through your mind?
I was relieved that when I heard it was Cliff, I was relieved that it was someone who had been an industry veteran and stuff. And then when I saw the pages, I'm like, okay, good. He's still got his fastball. He can still do this. What I liked about you when I talked to you is you seem like you get down to business. And anyone that knows me and knows my background in the mainstream and all that, I've never missed a deadline in my entire career. Still going back to college, working for the college newspaper, it's not something I do. And Cliff, he does the layouts and then he does the inks and he turns that stuff around. And I'm right behind him and you're on top of it. And I love that we're not artistes, we're workers. We're men and we're getting it done. And I love that kind of camaraderie. I come from a background, you're in Texas, right?
Yeah.
I played football forever and coached it forever. And that's the mentality I bring to art. I don't bring the fancy turtleneck, whatever, champagne. I love the hard hat and the lunch pail and get it done. You know what I mean? And then you and Cliff, you seem that way. Like, let's go, boys. Let's get it done. I love that. It reminds me of the old days, so
yeah, it's such a great experience, certainly for me to have, we send our emails back and forth and we're kind of a part of the entire process, like together. It's not even, you see the layout, you see that, you see the pencil and ink right after he does it. So we kind of work out all as a tandem and now we have a nice workflow definitely going into the next book with Isom number 2, a nice little workflow that really works for us because we all get it. Everybody knows that they're going to do their jobs. And I think that's just certainly important for what it is that we do. So you've been catch the brunt of a lot of, because what we do is unorthodox. Let's just be honest. Like this is kind of upending the industry as far as economics, as far as just the style of how we're doing it. Definitely you going from the mainstream stuff going into what it is that we're kind of doing now. Do you think this is the way of the future? Like, as us alternatives kind of start to, even though we're doing it our own different way, we're seeing success?
I don't think it is. I know it is because I'm living it. And I believe in, the idea of epistemological versus technical knowledge. Epistemological is like book knowledge. Technical knowledge is what really happened when you tried it. And when we did it and we embrace social media and we entertain people, we make a quality product as professionals and we deliver it on time and it's gorgeous. Okay, how could we not succeed? We're competent. We know what we're doing and we're giving max effort. What I never have patience for is people who are hemming and hawing and missing deadlines and just one excuse like a middle schooler. Yep. And I thank goodness you're not that way, because I didn't know you. Ethan Van Sciver introduced me to you. I didn't know who you were. I'd never talked to you before. I talked to you. Okay, I like what he's saying, but talk is cheap. Yeah. Then we started doing it. I'm like, oh, okay, he's not messing around. This guy's the real deal. And of course, Cliff, he's a veteran. So the three of us, what I love is that I can do my job and I don't have to worry about Cliff because he's doing his. Mm-hmm. I don't have to worry about you. You're doing yours. I love that. I love the camaraderie, the esprit de corps that the three of us have. Like, okay, Eric's doing his thing, I'm doing mine, and we don't have to worry, and we just get it done. I love the hard hat mentality. I love it.
Most definitely. And obviously with you being kind of the colorist, not kind of, you were the colorist. I mean, there's no kind of there. You certainly were the colorist. I mean, it's so important and so vital. And it was a special moment for me, obviously, as the writer of this, to see all that come to life after the pencil and ink was done, and then to put the colors on it. When I first, a lot of people need to understand you colored the covers as well with with cover A and cover B, and you just did a phenomenal job. When we see that,
thank you.
Yeah, when we see that, and I saw that, it was very special to me when I saw that. Like, man, this is one of my creations, and Gabe, I mean, he really brought this bad boy certainly to life with just putting that color on it. I want, if you can, let the audience know kind of how we know that you do illustration, but like, how does one land on, like, okay, I want to be a colorist? Because you get a lot of writers, you get a lot of people that want to do line art, but like colorists, like, it's so important, it's so vital. How did you kind of land in that being your expertise?
Oh, I'll get to that in 1 second, but that when you saw your work first colored, it must have blown your mind. Because I remember my first published professional work blew my mind. And I don't know if you remember, but when you first got your first batch of comics delivered to your warehouse or whatever, I texted you that day and said, congratulations, Eric, you're a real comic book professional. Do you remember that?
Yes, I do.
I was so happy for you, because I remember what it was like when I got my first check from one of the big Hollywood companies. I took it to the bank, I took a picture of it, and then I put it in the deposit or whatever. And when you got those first books, I was so excited for you. So I'm glad when you saw my first colors on there, you were excited. How do you become a colorist? For me, completely by accident. I'm drawing 2 different comic books right now. I set out to be an illustrator, and I am full-time, and I'm a colorist full-time. But a big-time artist at one of the big-time companies, he put out a call and it was my favorite artist since I was 13. They put out a call for a staff colorist. It's not a job I was looking for, but I knew how to do it. So I colored a sample, sent it in, and 2 weeks later, they offered me the job at one of the big companies. So I fell backwards. I wasn't even looking for that kind of work. And I've wondered for years, why do I know how to color? Because I just got Photoshop and I was good at it. And I don't believe in that. I don't believe people are just really good at something, but somehow I am. And just this year, after coloring comics for like the better part of 15, 20 years, I realized, that nerdy game Warhammer, the tabletop game? Mm-hmm. I painted those for years when I was a kid. Wow. And it gave me a color sense to hold these little space marines and paint them with brushes. And I'm not a nerd, people. Don't get the wrong idea. But I painted those little models for like 7 years. I love model airplanes. I'm like, oh, that's why I understand color, because I was painting my whole childhood, because I could just do it. Like in 2000 or something, when I was in college, I just started coloring stuff and it just worked. And it mystified me why I was so good at it right off the bat. I was like, how is that working? So I fell into coloring comics like by chance. I wasn't even looking for that job. That was the job that was open to get me into one of those big mainstream companies.
Man, so that's kind of funny because, we talked with Eric Weathers, who did the lettering for us. And it was a similar way. It's like, hey, you find where the demand is and, you happen to be very good at it. There you go. And that to me is what this is about, even with like my own project. I kind of fell into it with my expertise being writing, and something that I've been doing since I was certainly a wee lad. So we do Isom. We obviously with Isom One, we see all this success, but like the actual creation process was a very fun process for me. I know it was for everybody that was certainly involved. We had a like it was a very difficult thing for us to do because we're not just launching Isom's story, right? We're launching an entire universe, an entire company, but the entire universe. And I want to get your thoughts on if you feel like, we really nailed it with, it's Isom's story, but we have all of these, branching points with, we got Yaira, we got the Alpha Core, we have all of that. It was a very difficult thing for us to do it. And I think the book had to be meaty in order to do that. But what is your perspective in that regard?
I think what you set out to do with us, to establish a universe in one 90-something page graphic novel, that is huge because we could easily have been way too broad, got to too many topics, too many characters, too many things. And I think we nailed it. We had a little gap to just fit right through of where we're telling enough Isom, enough action. So it's entertaining and it gets people to come back. Because the number one rule, my friend, a veteran award-winning comic book writer, 40-something year writer, Mike Barron, he always says the first rule is to entertain. And I think we entertained for sure. And then we were able to talk about a lot of this universe. So yes, you can always make things better. Nothing's ever perfect. Obviously. But I think the results speak for themselves. The feedback we got. Listen, dude, especially on social media, and you know this better than me because we both have YouTube channels and yours has a few more than mine. If people don't like something on the internet, Eric, are they very shy to tell you?
Not at all.
Right. And people did not criticize the story. No. They didn't criticize the art. They didn't criticize my colors, thank God. So if it was messed up, we'd know by now. They would have roasted us, right? So,
that's very true. I like the way you put it. Yeah, it was a sweet spot that we had to hit, right. and I think we certainly nailed it. I can't wait. I know we're not to the point to where we're talking about Isom too, but man, it's starting. It's getting even more thrilling, and we're very deep in on that. Tell everybody else because, I want to highlight the fact that it's not just with Isom, obviously, you're doing. You have a lot of other cool projects before we get out of here. If you can let people in on kind of what it is that you're working on.
Right. Well, if you loved Isom and what I did for Eric, you will love my other book, Truth, Justice, American Way. You go to any of my socials like Twitter and Instagram. There's always a link at the top of that. You can buy that book. That is an amazing, my love letter to superheroes, that kind of classic superhero stuff like that. Co-created by David Williams. We got Gary Martin as the inker. That's an amazing book. I'm working on that right now. Please go pick that up. It's up for crowdfunding on Indiegogo. So the book is not complete yet. It'll be done later. But we're working on that. I'm working on Wraith of God. I'm just coloring that one for the great Aaron Lopresti. He's a 30-something year veteran. And I'm doing something else. I'm working on so many. I just did a Rambo story. For a Rambo graphic novel co-written by Sylvester Stallone and the great Chuck Dixon. I just did a Rambo short story. And I think I have another thing or two and I can't, because you put me on the spot. I work a lot, dude.
Yeah.
You know me. Man. You know how I work for you. And I turn it around. I'm a hustler.
Man.
That's right. That's right. Well, again, and that's why I like you and Cliff, because I'm like, I don't know these guys. We'll see what it's like to work with them. And you were hustlers too. The work was just coming and let's get it done. I love it. Absolutely. I love that. So Truth, Justice, American Way. Please, if you want action and adventure, you love superheroes. If you were a fan of all the superhero stuff that's been going on, you're gonna love what I did there. All my socials, there's a link to buy that. Please buy it today. You will enjoy it so much when you get it.
Most definitely. Well, I appreciate you joining us, Gabe, and of course we're gonna make sure that we have you back. We're working very, very hard right now on Isom too. Can't wait for the audience to get a hold of that. But again, man, thanks for coming up and chatting with us.
Oh, my pleasure. And right before the show, I was working on Isom too, and that's what I'm going to do right when we get off this meeting. I'm going to get back to work on colors for that book. It's looking gorgeous. So fans, get ready for that.